Hello, once again. Welcome to the second video of my series about writing with AI assistants. And here we are looking at the much maligned by some ChatGPT. What would you use ChatGPT for? Well, you certainly do not use it to help you write. You use a different program for that, which I will talk about. You might be able to see it in my link bar up there. Pseudo-Write is the program I use, and I will be talking about that later on, but for starters, we're going to go through the first steps, sort of, at least in my process, the brainstorming stage. So this video, as the title will tell you, is just kind of an overview, I should say, on ChatGPT and what it's good for in my personal view. Other people will have their own opinions. Obviously, this is just what I like to use it for, which is brainstorming. It's not what I use for writing at all. I use it for bouncing ideas off of. And you can use it for pretty much anything because it has been trained on practically every kind of fiction that's ever been written. It knows all the tropes, all the genres, so you can use it for practically anything. For example, I tend to like writing things in the isekai, I believe is how it's pronounced, genre, because I find it fun. I like the fish out of water dynamic and possibly some RPG elements in stories and things, so give me some funny isekai title ideas. And it gives me some funny isekai title ideas. So this is the sort of stuff that ChatGPT is absolutely phenomenal for. See, this is I only looked away from my phone for 1 second and now I'm the Demon Lord's tax account. It's kind of silly, it's stupid, but you could get a novel out of that. A short one, probably, or a series. This is the sort of thing that could become an anime. You could write something that potentially could become an anime. Reincarnated as roadkill. Thanks, Truckcoon. Reborn as a slime's therapist. I mean, it will give you all kinds of silly stuff. But let's say that you don't want to go for funny. Okay, we can go over here and delete that conversation. We're going to do something else. Give me some dark fantasy isekai title ideas. And now it's going to give me some that are more dark fantasy in tone. They sent me to save their world, so I'll burn it instead. Someone by mistake and left to rot. That's very dark. Reincarnated as the villain's executioner. Graveborn, Chronicles of the Undying. See, this is a way that you could get some ideas for something that you could write. I was summoned to slay the Demon King, so I became him. You know, this is the sort of thing, as I said, you could get entire novel ideas just from asking a simple question like this from ChatGPT. And what is it doing? What is ChatGPT actually doing? It is looking at myriads of dark fantasy titles and isekai type anime and light novel, just isekai fantasy and fiction in general. It's looking at all that stuff and it's kind of picking and choosing bits and pieces and then putting them together. The same way that you might if you're trying to come up with an idea like this. But here's the thing. This AI has been trained on probably millions of pieces of fiction. Not all, not necessarily millions, maybe millions of dark fantasy and isekai titles. I don't know how many of them exist in total. But it can look at everything that it has ever been trained on with perfect recall, something that humans do not have. Anything that falls into the category of isekai, portal fantasy, and dark fantasy, and draw on the titles of those things, and then kind of pull together some pieces, and it will give you something that you can use. So let's try again. I've really been running into this problem recently that it doesn't always do that, but we can try. Okay, let's do something other than the isekai thing. Let's just go for me some, not plot, but title ideas for a space opera with mecha and, oh, let's see what's something that would be kind of interesting. We could go with kind of a Gundam. I do tend to draw a lot on anime stuff. I actually don't watch a whole lot of anime, but I like a lot of the storytelling elements that they tend to use, or video game stuff. Been exposed to lots of different kinds of fiction, but I tend to gravitate towards certain things. Let's see, mecha, and let's go with psychic powers. Neural Symphony sounds, Mind Forge Protocol sounds interesting. Synapse Horizon, kind of interesting. And then, of course, the thing is that you're not stuck with just these things. You can mix and match them. I find that a lot of these are very good for like a series title and then also a novel title. So something like Legion of the Luminous War maybe could do something like with that. Children of the Aether War, don't know about that. Gears of Heaven sounds interesting. Voices from the Iron Sky, you could do something with that. Project Mindcore, I think there's an album. Project Mindcrime, I think, by I forget the title of the name of the group. It's very similar to that, but you could do something like Voices from the Iron Sky, Project Mindcore. There you have basically a series name and then your first book name. So this is, like I said, one of the best things you can use ChatGPT for is just getting some title ideas. I use that a lot. I use it a lot for title ideas because it's just for some reason I'm terrible at thinking up title ideas. I cannot a lot of the time think of anything that quite works. Or I'll have a glimmer of an idea, but it doesn't quite hit. But then that's what you use ChatGPT for all the reasons I already talked about. It has got all of these different things that it's been trained on, perfect recall of all those things, and it gives you a whole bunch of different ones that you can play with. And let's say Wings of the Astral Empire. That doesn't sound very sci-fi. That sounds more fantasy, but you could say that I don't like that one necessarily, but you could look through and find something a little bit better like Starborn. Wings of the Starborn Empire. Now that sounds like a space opera kind of title. Wings of the Starborn Empire. So you can mix and match. It just depends on what you're looking for. So I think I'm going to wrap up this video here. We're going to do a couple, three more on ChatGPT and using it for brainstorming. We're going to go over things like plots and a few other things. It's really good for taking a small thing that you have an idea for and expanding it. I use it a lot for expanding ideas. And then again, you pick and choose. You take the things that you like, discard the things that you don't, use it to build out your ideas a little bit further, and keep on going. So you don't get stuck. And that is the main thing when you're using AI. Going back to the very first video, which is the one before this one, actually, at this point. But the point is that you don't want to get bogged down. You want to keep on moving. And that's what you're using the AI for, is to keep moving forward. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.